Now, if you're a golfer struggling with this, cupping the left wrist, this is a great video for you because I'm going to show you this little field to do involving your knuckles, which you can do out on the golf course or out on the driving range, which will give you great results to have a flatter or maybe even slightly bowed left wrist to one, fix that slice shot you might be struggling with, or have a little bit more of a body orientated move through the shot, a little less handsy. Okay, so let's say you're a golfer that cups the left wrist very early on in the golf swing. You've got a standard grip, which will then, with the cup, result in open club face. You'd have to rely a lot on hand movement going through the golf ball to square the face. What I want you to do is have your knuckles feel like they are slightly turned down towards the ground. So even as you take that club back, feel like those knuckles are slightly pointing down, because if you cup, the knuckles are pointing dead straight up. So knuckles pointing down will either make your left wrist flat or, depending if you do it quite a lot, really quite bowed. You can see straight away what's that doing to the club face. It's closing it off a little bit. But for most of you, it'll be making your club face a little bit more square to the arc. So then I'd want you to continue that feel into the downswing. Really feel like those knuckles are really pointing down towards that ground. Don't be afraid to exaggerate it as well if you really suffer from cupping that left wrist. It's going to really make that club face way more stable, because if you are having the knuckles pointing up, as you're going to see here for the entirety of the swing, I mean, you could even just see there where the ball kind of went out in the net. It went really high. It's because the club face is too open. That ball would have been weak. It would have been going towards the right. I would have had to have had a lot of hand movement and slow my body down to be able to facilitate that. So really having those knuckles pointing down towards the ground. Backswing, have them pointing down. You could even stop in your takeaway, knuckles pointing down here, and then swing up and keep the knuckles pointing down, curling down. And there we go. You're going to have this much more powerful, penetrating ball flight. You're going to be compressing that golf ball so much more, hitting the ball so much straighter. So, like I said, on the golf course, this will be brilliant for that. Really just have those knuckles pointing down. Feel that and hear that nice strike. Can be as easy as that, just really having them curl down as much as you can. Now, cupping the left wrist for players can be very tied into their forearm flexibility as well. So before you go and do this, so before you go play, before you go practice, make sure you're having a few kind of forearm stretches. This main one here, just grab your fingers and pull your fingers down, stretching the front part of your forearm there, just to make it a little bit more flexible, especially if you really do struggle to get in this position here. We don't need a crazy amount of bow, but having that front side of the forearm just stretched out a little bit will really help you to be able to get these knuckles pointing a little bit more down. So even just putting in the pure repetitions of doing this will make a huge difference to increasing that flexibility of your forearm also. Knuckle down and then knuckle down. So this is going to be key for you to keep that club face squarer to the swing arc. You could use some body rotation really nicely through the golf ball, then you'll be in a much better place. But make sure, guys, that you have either a standard or slightly weak grip doing this, especially if you want to add some more bow. So really knuckles down. You can't be doing that with a strong grip. You're just going to hit the ball left, even if you are rotating your body really nicely. So standard or slightly weak grip, get some forearm stretches in, and then making sure knuckles are slightly pointing down, not up. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction just like this. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So let's get those knuckles down.